Okay, looks like we are officially live. So, hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for today's live event. If you are a Design Files member, you have probably noticed that every month we like to bring in experts that can help give you advice, give you strategies that you can use to just continue to grow and build out your design business. So, today we are going to be focusing on the bookkeeping side of things. If you're like me, this is not your favorite part of running a business. I had to hand it off because, quite frankly, I'm just no good at it. So, if you are managing the books by yourself and you're looking for a little bit of advice, this is the webinar for you. And if you are looking for somebody who can maybe take over that part of your business so that you don't have to sweat it, this is also the webinar for you. So let me just have a quick tech check. I want to make sure that you guys can see us and that you guys can hear us. And then we are going to get straight into introducing this lovely guest that we have sitting here and straight into the webinar. So if you can, go ahead, leave a comment in the live chat. Let us know if you can see and hear us, and then we'll get started. All right, sweet. So I can see that it looks like tech check is working out well. So let me go ahead. I'm just going to get the screen set up here. So I'm going to get into my present mode. Okay, so hopefully you guys are seeing my screen pop up on your end, and hopefully you are still seeing Ashley's lovely face and my face. But today we are really excited to have Ashley here. Ashley Mobley is the Director of Client Services at Business by the Book. And Business by the Book is a virtual full-service bookkeeping firm that works with interior designers and other creatives. Ashley is bringing 14 years of bookkeeping experience to us today. So I'm very excited about this. I hope you guys have your questions ready because we will be opening up for a Q&A towards the end of this webinar. But just to kind of give you a sense for how this webinar is going to be running, I just want to let you know a couple of quick things. One, we're mainly going to be focusing on the pre-submitted questions that we had our members send in to us. So we've got a lot of different questions covering a variety of different areas. When it comes to bookkeeping, we're going to make our way through those, and then we'll open it up for an additional Q&A if we've got some time. Two other things that I'll just bring to your attention. We are not going to be covering sales tax focused questions for this particular webinar. It's just too complex because it really depends on the individual designer and the state they're living in and all of that jazz. So we're going to be focusing on other areas. We did get a question about whether or not Design Files does integrate with QuickBooks. The short answer to that is yes. And if you do have any additional questions about syncing up your Design Files account with your QuickBooks account, pop on over to the Design Files live chat. The team's going to be able to help you out and they can address any questions that you have. So without further ado, I just want to say, Ashley, thank you so much for joining us. And if you are good to go, maybe what we could do is we could just kind of jump straight into some of these questions and I will let you take it from there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited.
Okay, great. Now, I think I just need to switch over into, hopefully this is, Ashley, let me know if you're seeing the proper screen now where it's just showing the slides.
Yes, I am.
Okay, rock and roll. Okay, so let's go ahead. We're going to jump right in here. And one of the first questions that we got from one of our members was, what are some of the key things designers need to have set up to be able to DIY their bookkeeping?
So at Business by the Book, we offer a bookkeeping boot camp. So that's great for our new designers who are looking to start their bookkeeping, but they're not ready to commit to someone else doing it for them just yet. So we think that the best things that you can do is to make sure you go ahead and set up your business checking, set up your business credit cards if that's something that you're looking to have, and make sure you clearly separate the two. You don't want your personal with your business, and you don't want your business and your personal. It's very important to separate those. So that's one of the main things that we tell all of our designers as they're starting out. We also recommend that you don't use peer-to-peer apps. So don't accept Venmo payments from your clients. Don't pay your subcontractors through Venmo. It's just it intermingles personal still, even with Venmo switching to business accounts and setting up different things. We are just still seeing that being a huge bookkeeping confusion.
Good tip.
Yeah.
Do you recommend that designers get set up with a particular software? Is there any kind of preferences that you have when it comes to QuickBooks, or even just having just like a standard spreadsheet where they're breaking down all of their different categories for expenses, income, etc.?
Yeah, we definitely, if you come on board with us with the bookkeeping bootcamp, we will do that for you and set up your QuickBooks account. But we definitely think that it's very important for you to set up a QuickBooks or some sort of financial tracking software. And the great thing about Design Files is it integrates with QuickBooks so that that information is coming over automatically for you. And so we love that. But yes, QuickBooks is a great option for tracking your expenses. So that you can provide financial statements to your CPA when you're ready to file your taxes at the end of the year.
Okay, great. Let's go ahead and we'll move on to the next question. So this is specifically for designers who are currently working with a bookkeeper. How can they make sure that they're getting the most out of that relationship? And what reports should they be asking for? And what kind of insights can they get?
Yeah, so I think your bookkeeper should be providing you reports on a normal schedule, either quarterly or monthly. And we always send out the balance sheet, the profit and loss, your open invoices, and if you're using purchase orders, purchase orders and bills for our clients to review those. And then your bookkeeper should also be able to explain those reports to you if you're new and you don't understand what they all mean, because it can be very overwhelming for our designers that they don't necessarily want to talk about the numbers or think about the numbers, so it can be very overwhelming. So those are the main reports, though, that you should be getting from them either on a monthly or a quarterly basis.
I agree that it can be definitely overwhelming. I also feel, and maybe this is just me, but I feel like sometimes when you're talking to bookkeepers or accountants, sometimes it can almost feel like they're speaking a different language. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. And I need that broken down for me a little bit more. So do you find that you and your team kind of take like a very hands-on approach when it comes to just, let me explain this out a little bit further for you? Because sometimes people feel a little bit uncomfortable saying, hey, I don't get that. They don't want to feel like somebody thinks they're stupid because they're not understanding this accounting or bookkeeping lingo. So just curious how you and your team would approach that.
Yeah, first of all, I would just say if you feel like you need to be very careful right there. If your bookkeeper or CPA is making you feel dumb, that's not a good relationship to have. Because that's our job, is to explain this. That's the reason that you've hired us, is because you don't understand it or you don't want to do it, right? So yes, we try to break it down in very simple terms and to just give you the information, not to overwhelm you, right? We don't want to use our terminology for everything, but to break it down. What is a liability? What does that mean on our balance sheet? And so we really try to equip our clients with the knowledge and the information, because most of our designers have, if they've had any experience with financial statements, it's just the basics, right? And they don't know how they work together or what it means.
Yeah, completely agree. It's definitely was one of those, I guess, just to kind of speak a little bit personally for myself here, it's an area that I always, like in the early years of running the business, I was like, every year I would tell myself, I'm going to get better at this. I'm going to be more focused at this. I'm going to get more organized about this. And I never did. I just, it's not an area that I can wrap my brain around. I don't want to. And I think that if you are that type of person, it's okay to realize that. It's totally okay to realize that. And one of the best things that you can do is just give that off to somebody else to handle. The stress that's going to come off of your shoulders is going to be incredible, because you'll know that everything's getting done correctly. And you're just removing some of those things that you just don't want to do. Plus, it's going to get done faster. And quite honestly, if you think about the hours you're putting into it, it's probably cheaper to have somebody else who already knows how to do this well to take it over for you.
Yes,
So
yes.
things to
It is
consider.
an investment, but it is well worth the investment, we believe.
Oh, 100%. I'm so happy to never have to deal with it. Besides,
Yeah,
everybody's got their own skill sets. That's not mine. My skill set
that's
is
exactly
elsewhere,
right.
and that's where I'm going to focus on the business.
Yes, I
So
tell our clients all the time, I don't want to be designing someone's brand new kitchen, but I will be glad to clean up their bookkeeping for them.
thank God for you, because this is why we need different types of people in the world. It makes everything go round.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, so let's jump on to question 3 here. So I'm just going to kind of quickly go through this one because it looks like it's broken down into different parts. But here we're seeing that the question is focused on, I'm finding it pretty hard to know both, one, how much money I actually have available at any given time, and two, how much profit I've made year to date at any given time. For now, I am balancing my business account manually. Do you have any tips for getting a tight handle on this?
My first tip would be to get a QuickBooks account or some type of financial tracking. Spreadsheets are just interior design industry is just too complex to be tracked on a spreadsheet, with retainers and sales tax and all the different nuances. I just would really recommend that you start with getting a QuickBooks account. That is our number one thing. And then also learning the financial statements and how they work together, like we were just talking about, so that you can get a good grasp on how much do I owe right now in sales tax. The money that's sitting in my bank account does not belong to me. It belongs to the government, or it still belongs to my client because I haven't finished the work and I'm holding on to a retainer. So it's just, I would really recommend that you get QuickBooks setup or some sort of tracking, because it's so hard to manage that in a spreadsheet.
Okay, great. So let's jump on here to question number 4. What is the best way to split and categorize a payment from a client that contains the retail price of the product, which includes my margin after cost?
So if you're using QuickBooks, this is essentially your gross profit. So on your profit and loss statement, you would have how much you have invoiced the client for. So that includes your markup. And then your cost of goods is going to be how much you actually paid for it. And then your gross profit is going to be what you made on that product. We help our clients with this on a project level as well. So if you're using purchase orders and you're using invoicing through DesignFiles, then you're able to see that integrates to QuickBooks. You're able to see, okay, this is what my invoice was minus my actual product cost, and that gives you your margins.
So just to clarify that, and I want to make sure I'm understanding it correctly, in order to do this, it would require syncing over the invoices and syncing over the purchase orders so that you can see this is what you paid on the purchase order,
Right.
like the product, and then the invoices showing what your markup was so that you can start to run reports within QuickBooks that will show the difference.
Yes, correct.
Okay, got it. Is there a specific report that they would have to run? Do you know the name of the report that they would have to run to see that difference?
Yeah, so a profit and loss is going to give you overall, right? So it's going to give you every client that you've invoiced minus your cost of goods. And so then if you wanted to see it by client, QuickBooks offers profit and loss by customer. So then you
Perfect.
could see it by the customer.
Okay, great. And I believe, well, actually, you're probably better to answer this question, but if a designer wanted to pop over to QuickBooks and just get a sense for how they would run the profit and loss by customer, is there, do you know if there's like a quick, I don't know, help article or a video or something that they can go to and it'll show them step by step how to do it?
Yeah, it's pretty simple in QuickBooks. So if you just go to your reports and search, it has like a search bar for it. But yes, there's also great YouTube videos out there. If you were to search in YouTube, you could find those as well. I will say that once the purchase orders are sent over to QuickBooks, in order for them to show up on your profit and loss statement, they do have to be converted to a bill. And so you would want to go into that purchase order in QuickBooks, and then there's an option for copy to bill. And so you would convert that to a bill, and that's how you how it shows up on your profit and loss statement.
Awesome. Yeah, good comment on that one. It definitely does need to be converted into a bill, so I'm glad you brought that up.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go on to. Oh, sorry, Ashley. Did you have an additional comment there?
Oh no, sorry.
Oh, okay. No worries. All right. So let's go on to question 5. Should all goods purchased and then reimbursed for, let's see, should all goods purchased and then reimbursed for clients be accounted for as inventory for tax purposes? If not, what is the appropriate way to categorize these purchases?
Yeah, so we categorize your purchases for your clients as cost of goods sold. So if you're specifically purchasing something for a client, that would be in your cost of goods sold. Now, if you're holding on to inventory, so we have clients that they are out at Target and they see a cute pillow and they're going to hold on to it, then we can put that in a cost of goods inventory account that we then review at the end of the year and see if if you're holding on to enough product to classify as inventory as an asset on the balance sheet. So that's a conversation to have with your bookkeeper too, to make sure that you're tracking that correctly, because inventory is a very complex piece of the puzzle here. But for the most part, most of our interior designers are not holding on to a large portion, but we do have a few that have a European rug that maybe the client didn't like, so they decided to hold on to it or something like that. But we usually have a threshold for that. So for us, we use $2,500 as a threshold for inventory items that you're holding on to.
Okay. Question 6. What type of income is the commission from affiliate marketing, such as reward style or Amazon? Is it considered income from sale is it considered income from sales, or is there any other category?
So for our clients that have affiliated income, we set that up as a separate category for them to track that. So if they have reward styles, we have an income account that just says reward style income. And then we put all of that into one account to break it out so that you're clearly able to see that on your profit and loss statement.
So if they are using a variety of those affiliate networks like Reward Style, CJ, Share a Sale, even Side Door, because they can earn higher commissions through Side Door, would you have it broken out for each one, or are you still going to have like an overall category so you could just see all commissions from all of these different networks?
I think it really depends on the client and what they're looking for. Some of our clients want to see it broken out into the different categories so that they're able to make decisions on whether is this really working for me? Is it worth what I'm, putting into it? So some people want to see it broken out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Detail, while others are like, just put it all in commission income. And because I'm not really analyzing that or looking at it.
No, that's actually a great point. It definitely, I could see the need for breaking it out as well, because if certain networks are working better for you, you might choose to just stop wasting your time with other networks and focus more deeply on the ones that are turning over more profit for you. So that makes sense. I just kind of wanted to get a sense of it because I know that we do have a number of designers that are doing more of an e-design style business, or just choosing to let the client shop the look themselves and using those affiliate links. So it's just interesting to see how you guys would approach setting that up.
Yeah, we like to separate it out for you to get a clear picture of what's making money for you. If you are doing something, a little bit different, that you're like, I'm just testing the waters to see how this is going to work, e-design, or we have some clients that have like a designer for the day that they're trying out to see how it's going to work for them. And so we'll separate that out for them to be able to see, okay, this is going well. We're making money here, or let's just nip that for next year.
Exactly. This is what it is, when you're
Yeah,
running a business, it is constantly testing out new things to see what's
Mhm.
working better for you. How can I improve this? If you're always just staying kind of stagnant and doing the same thing over and over again, you're not really giving yourself ways to improve your business. So testing out new options, some of them might fail, some of them might be great, but you never know unless you give it a go. So it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to question 7 here. Is the cashback from credit card spending considered as business income, and how should this be recorded?
Yeah, so we record this as other income, and that's at the bottom of your profit and loss statement. It's not considered taxable income, but it is still income at the end of the year. So we record that as other income.
Okay,
So
great.
not in the same category as like your sales of product or your service fee income. We just put that kind of at the bottom as miscellaneous.
Okay. All right. How do you reconcile shipping when you don't know the cost up front when you create the invoice?
So I would say that this is probably one of the number one pain points that we hear about, right? Sales tax and shipping is our designers' favorite topics. So for shipping, we're seeing a lot of people, and this is, again, different for everybody and everybody's interior design business. But we're seeing a lot of people going to flat rate shipping on everything rather than having to do this at the end, right? So 20% flat rate on all items shipping across the board versus having to go back at the end of the project. It saves the admin time. It saves the almost nickel and dime feel that the clients may get about the shipping at the end. So that's one way that we're seeing a lot of designers. But otherwise, they're going back and adding it to a new invoice after they've received that information from their vendors.
Okay, and just to clarify, you're saying that they're going back and creating a new invoice that is specifically just showing the shipping costs. So they've already sent out an invoice for the actual products, they've collected payment on that, and then afterwards they're creating a whole different invoice that's literally just for the shipping costs. Is that correct?
Yes, because you can't go back and update your invoices because of sales tax. You don't want to go back and update an invoice. So yes, you would create a new invoice that covers the shipping for that product.
Okay, great. Just wanted to make sure that it was clarified there a little bit. So, okay, let's move on here. Question 9. So we just started with QuickBooks. We had several clients that we had paid out labor and materials for, but had not been paid in full yet at the close of 2022. This is considered inventory. How do I account for this in my books? Because the deposit looks like all the income since we just started books in 2023. This isn't reading right for me. Let me just give this another look here.
So I think I know where we're going with this, but so I was a little bit confused too. But I think for the most part, so if you're on a cash basis, this is going to depend on how you're reporting. But if you're on a cash basis, once the invoice has been paid, if you haven't paid for the cost of goods yet, then that income was recorded in 2022. So this is a conversation to have with your CPA now because it's done. But going into 2023, to avoid this, I would recommend that you have a conversation with your bookkeeper to talk about how we avoid this at the end of the year. But should it have been a retainer that you then applied to an invoice in 2023? And so it can really depend on how your books are set up. Cash versus accrual is a big deal on this one, but I would definitely have a conversation with your bookkeeper about this.
Just on that topic, can you just go a little bit more into cash versus accrual and the difference so that anybody who's listening can get a clear idea?
Yeah, so on a cash basis, when an invoice is paid, the income is recorded. When the bill is paid or the purchase order, the income is recorded. On an accrual basis, as soon as you create the invoice and as soon as you create the bill for the purchase order, that's when the costs and the income are recorded. So it's on a cash basis when the money is received, and when the money goes out, it's accounted for on an accrual basis when you record it on an invoice. So the invoice date and the bill date is what accounts for the income and the cost.
And do you find that there is a preference for designers, or do you recommend one way or the other when it comes to how designers should be setting up their books or handling their business?
We're seeing a lot more designers doing it on an accrual basis with the way that the delays are happening. But if you have always filed your taxes on a cash basis, this is a conversation to have with your CPA on whether it's worth it, because there is documentation that you have to provide to the IRS in order to change your filing status. And so that is definitely a question to have with your, or conversation to have with your CPA to discuss what would be best. But we're definitely seeing people move more to the accrual basis because of what we're talking about here, right? You invoice, but that you're not going to see the product for 6 months to a year. So,
Right.
so that's the reason people are moving to the accrual basis.
Okay, great. Let's see here. Question 10. What type of expense is the DesignFiles subscription? Is it considered office expense, or does it fall under some other category?
So office expense is great. We break ours out into a little bit more detail and put it as a sub account under office expense as software. So software is how we track it here. But office expense is not wrong.
Okay. All right. Let's jump. I'm going to jump out of this screen share here. We're just going to have a quick look. We've got plenty of time here. So maybe what we'll do is we'll open it up to, I'm going to stop my screen share and pop back to this view. I'm going to have a quick look in our chat feed here and just see if we've got any other questions. If you guys do have questions, start adding them into the chat feed now so we can start looking at addressing those. And we'll just, let's see here if I can scroll all the way to the top here. We'll see if we've got any questions in here. So we do have a question from one of our members. She's asking you if QuickBooks is the only accounting tool that you use. They personally don't like QuickBooks, and it has always been difficult for them. So just curious if you've got other options for them.
I've seen a few designers use HoneyBook for their accounting. I don't have a great recommendation for you there. QuickBooks is an accounting software, so I do feel like it's geared towards us bookkeepers and accountants more. But I think that's what makes the integration great, is that you do majority of the work in DesignFiles, but there is some maintenance to QuickBooks. But like I said, we offer the bookkeeping bootcamp, so I would love to show you how to utilize that and help you with your QuickBooks account.
Okay. And there was another question here, which probably tied to the comments that you were making about Venmo payments. What about accepting Zelle payments?
So Zelle is fine. That is one that comes directly from your bank account to the person's account. It's not a middleman kind of thing like Venmo is, where the major problem that we see a lot of times is when clients are accepting payments from their clients via Venmo. So if they got $10,000 from their client on an invoice, you can only transfer $2,999 from Venmo at a time. So trying to track where that payment needs to be applied is impossible. So yes, we recommend that you use Zelle instead of Venmo.
Okay. Let's have a quick look here. Okay, is there an issue if you need to make a change to an invoice or PO after you have closed the books for those months?
Yes, so definitely do not want to make a change to an invoice. Purchase order can be a little bit different. It doesn't affect your sales tax as much, but it does affect your income. So I definitely have a conversation with your bookkeeper to see if it's okay for you to make that adjustment. But you definitely do not want to adjust a invoice, because if you've collected sales tax If you take it off, then the sales tax now is incorrect and will need to be amended.
So in cases like that, if a change did need to be made, would it be recommended that they either one, create another invoice to address that change, or create a refund or a credit or something else that is specific to that invoice that needs to be updated?
Yes, that's exactly how we would want them to do it. New invoice, new credit, current period, so that it's reflected on your sales tax for this month versus messing up your sales tax from a prior month.
Yeah, okay, sounds good. Let's see here. Okay, we do have a question here that's kind of like, can you explain how QuickBooks and DF sync up? I'm almost wondering if that's better to just, we've got videos that are available that will show you how Design Files and DF sync up and how you can sync over your invoices and your purchase orders and everything else. Ashley, do you have anything kind of specific that you would want to add to this that you find you and your team are regularly looking for when things are syncing over to QuickBooks?
Yeah, we're just making sure that everything shows us in sync with the invoicing screen and design files. Same with purchase orders, making sure that everything's syncing over. But yeah, we can definitely help you with that, or design files can definitely help with getting that connection set up properly so that your invoices flow over and into your financial statements as they should.
Okay, great. I can't see the name of who left this comment, but just so you know, if you do want to get an idea for how Design Files and QuickBooks sync up, pop over to the live chat. The team's going to be happy to help you. They can send you the tutorial video that will show you how to sync up your Design Files account with your QuickBooks account. And if you do have any questions, just let them know. They're going to be able to walk you through it. Okay, so let's keep going through here. Oh, great question. How much is the bookkeeping boot camp?
Oh, so our bookkeeping boot camp starts at $850, and that includes us setting up your new QuickBooks, setting up a chart of accounts, integrating your design files with QuickBooks and getting that integration. And then we have a one-on-one Zoom session with me where I kind of have a cram session with you. It's recorded and we provide that recording with you. But we go through how you record your transactions, how you match them up, how you record your sales tax payments, and then the financial statements that you're going to want to review on a monthly or quarterly basis yourself. And so all of it's like a cram session. But yeah, that's the total fee for the bookkeeping bootcamp.
Just out of curiosity, go ahead.
The online bookkeeping services, if anybody's interested in completely offloading their bookkeeping services, we offer that too.
And when it comes to the ongoing bookkeeping services, do you have a sense for what that typically costs for a year when it comes to like an average designer business? Do you feel like you could give a range for that so that our designers can get a sense?
Yeah, so our bookkeeping services, ongoing services, start at $550 per month, but we customize our packages based on specific needs. So that's generally where it starts with the bookkeeping services. But like I said, we can build out your package based on your specific needs. So we have clients that want us to do their invoicing, their payables, and so those additional services would be added to the service agreement.
Okay. Let's see here. Okay, where do you start if you have been in biz for a while and are adding QuickBooks?
So you can start a brand new QuickBooks at any time. If whoever's been filing your taxes can provide you with documentation that you'll want to put in as your beginning balances, essentially. But you can start a brand new QuickBooks at any time, start fresh. We have several clients that we start them a fresh QuickBooks account as of the beginning of 2023. And we just start fresh with the data. most of everything that you're going to need from prior years is your beginning balances on your bank accounts, credit cards, your retainer balances, and your sales tax liability from prior years. But you can start fresh at any point.
Okay. If you add a note to a PO after it has synced with QuickBooks, will it open an otherwise previously closed PO? So, not entirely sure. Again, I can't quite. Oh, okay. What I was going to say is if you do update a purchase order within your Design Files account and it's already synced over to QuickBooks, when you go in and you update the purchase order in Design Files and you save it, it's going to resync over the newly updated information. So it should show on your QuickBooks side. If you are seeing something show differently, let us know. We can look into it, but everything should just map over accordingly.
Yes, and it doesn't create a new one. It updates the current one.
That's correct, yeah. Okay, I did see a question here. I don't think it's necessarily bookkeeping specific, but we do have a question asking if a designer can do both eDesign and affiliate program together. And the answer is yes. If you are doing an eDesign service and you are just going to let the client shop the look themselves, then you absolutely want to look into affiliate options. So you can do the standard option where you are going to something like the kind of the top affiliate networks like Share a Sale, CJ, Sovereign, Reward Style. You can use those options. You're typically going to make about 2 to 5 or 2 to 7% on any of the sales that happen. If you want to look into another option, you can check out Side Door. So one of the cool things about Side Door is that you'll be able to access hundreds of thousands of trade products, and you'll actually earn an average of 30% commission on any of the sales that happen. And you can still set it up so the designer shops the look themselves. So if you're interested in either of those options, we've got ebooks and we've got integrations with Side Door, and we've got all kinds of options that will help you out. Again, pop over to the live chat, ask the team about affiliate options and the Side Door options, and they can guide you through it. Okay, let's get into here. What are your thoughts on Profit First specifically for interior designers?
Yeah, so we have several clients that use Profit First or a modified Profit First in some capacity. So we help them with those percentages at the end of the month or the quarter when they're looking at those to make sure that they're transferring the proper amounts into the account. So yeah, we have several designers that use the Profit First method or some variation of it.
Okay, let me just have a quick look here to see if we've got some additional questions. Should I have multiple checking accounts to sort out my income versus funds for purchases versus taxes?
So that goes along with the Profit First. So we have clients that like that, and some people just want it simple. So I think it really depends on, do you have someone, a bookkeeper in place who can help you with these things, or is this something that you're wanting to be able to track? But some of our designers, the transferring back and forth is not what they want to be tracking. So it all depends on you and your preference and your way of seeing things. But we do have very visual designers who want to see it. And when they want to know that what's in their bank account they can spend or they can't spend. So it's all in your preference.
Okay. Do you have a designer here that's saying that she's about to start working on a second state? So she's, I guess, in New Jersey and headed for New York. How do you make sense of the difference in the sales, in the taxes, I guess?
Yeah, so you're going to want to educate yourself on the economic nexus there on whether, and I like to say this, before you decide to step into another state, you want to know the rules because it may not be worth it. If you're not, don't have this big project that you see really rocketing your advertising in the state and getting you several projects in that state, think about the admin behind it before you sign on to start this project. But you're going to want to educate yourself on the economic nexus, do they charge, do you need to be charging sales tax on the services in that state? So educating yourself on the different sales tax laws and especially the economic nexus. So if you're not familiar with what that is, so each state has a certain amount of transactions or income that if you meet that threshold, then you have to register and collect sales tax if you're performing services in that state.
Okay. And I've got another question here. What is the max retainer fee you can charge in California?
I'm not sure about a maximum retainer fee in California. I've
Okay.
never heard of there being a maximum there.
Okay. You think that there shouldn't be a maximum?
I'm not aware of a maximum there.
Okay. Well, something else to look into.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Oh, I do have a request for you to post the bootcamp info. So if you do have that handy, you can just add it to the chat. That would be great.
Okay.
Let's see. I think we've already addressed the payroll and the profit. Okay. How do you categorize returns in QuickBooks?
So returns are another favorite hot topic, right? So we record those as a refund receipt. So you want to make sure that if you've collected the sales tax on a product, that when you issue the refund receipt, that you're crediting yourself back that sales tax. So you want to, we do it as a refund receipt if you're sending the money back to the client. We record it as a credit memo in QuickBooks if you're just issuing them a credit that you will later apply to an invoice.
Okay. And is there a specific QuickBooks, I guess, plan that designers should be looking to sign up for versus the other options? Just curious if you've got any thoughts on that.
Yeah, so if you're going to integrate it with DesignFiles and you want those purchase orders to sync up, you're going to need a QuickBooks Plus account. And then if you are not going to do that and you just need the essentials, then that's fine. But if you're a DesignFiles user, you definitely want the QuickBooks Plus.
Okay. Okay, let's see here. Okay, another question. I'm concerned that I have enough inventory to claim, but my accountant had always said that we don't handle till sold. If we have over the threshold, how do we resolve to abide by the rules?
So it depends on how you're tracking it. Do you have a spreadsheet that you're using to track it? Do you have a inventory management system? Some of our clients use Sortly to track their inventory if they have a lot of inventory on hand. But I would definitely have a conversation with your CPA on recording that properly for your tax purposes. But you want to be tracking it in some sort of way if you feel like that you have over $2,500 worth of inventory on hand.
Okay. Okay, let's see here. This is kind of this might be too broad a question because I'm not sure what receipt they're referring to, but is there an easy way to send a receipt in QuickBooks? It seems complicated.
To send a receipt? I
think we're going to need a little bit more information. So let me just have a quick look here.
Are you sending it to your client? Are they sending it to their client or they're wanting to track their own receipts in?
Yeah, so I think we're going to need a little bit more information. So if you are still on this live broadcast here, if you did add the question, is there an easy way to send a receipt in QuickBooks? Can you just give us a little bit more information about what it is that you were trying to send? And then hopefully we can come back to this one and get an answer for you. Okay.
But you can definitely send invoices or track your receipts in QuickBooks. They have a great app for you to take a picture and track your receipts if that's something that you're looking for.
Okay. Let's see here. I received a lump sum payment from a client that includes my design fee and purchased product. Are you advising to purchase the product and log as inventory?
So you're going to want to record that payment against an invoice. And so the invoice should have the services and the product broken out.
Okay. We
That
primarily
would that would break the payment up into those different categories. So inventory is different. So like cost of goods is what you're purchasing for your client, but inventory, what we're talking about, is something that you're holding on to that you may sell later.
Okay. Let's see here. We primarily sell to designers and they pay 100% upfront. How do you handle a credit if they cancel an item on the original invoice?
So we recommend, so if you're going to have to either create the credit memo refund if they're not going to use this product, but if you get a broken lamp and you're replacing it with a new lamp, or they don't like the first lamp and they then you can record that on a new invoice as a credit line item for the old lamp, and then the new lamp would be on that invoice as well.
Okay. I think we're kind of getting towards the end here. Let me just have a quick look.
So our website has the information. I also dropped it in here of what the bookkeeping package. I don't know that our bullets came over very well in the chat that I sent to you, but you can check out our website for what's included with the bookkeeping bootcamp, and also schedule a call with me, and I'm happy to give you more information on that and what our services look like.
Okay, I think there are just like a few extra, and let me know, Ashley, do you have just a little bit extra time here and we can just get a few more of these out?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great. So let me just quickly go through here. I've read so many questions now. Now I'm like, did I already ask you this one? I'm just going to throw it at you again, just in case I didn't. So did we just do one that said how to handle a credit if an item is on, let's see, how to handle a credit if an item on original paid PO is canceled?
Yes. So you'll want to you can update a purchase order if it's within a time period, right? So if it wasn't a 2022 one, then it's okay to update the purchase order and reflect that credit. But I would definitely reach out to your bookkeeper before you make changes.
Okay, let's see here. Does Design Files have an inventory tracking option coming soon? Great question. This is not something that we currently have coming soon, but Posh Home Staging and Redesign, if you haven't already requested this update, Cole, if you're on, can you share the link where designers can add their requests and then have those requests voted on? We basically just have a running list, and as you guys kind of add to it and vote on them, those become the next features that we start to push out to the design file system. So always be sure to add any of your requests there. Okay. And I did see one here. Do you find most designers wrap credit card processing fees, the 3%, into their design fees?
It's a mixture. Some use the toggle feature that Design Files has and charges it back to their clients. Some doesn't feel good to charge it back to the clients, and so they will make sure that that's included as part of their design fee. So it's a mixture, but we definitely want you to make sure that you're accounting for it somewhere, either pushing it back on the client, or when you're evaluating your design fees, make sure that you're accounting for that overhead expense.
And if they are going to be wrapping it up into their design fees, how do you guys typically make sure that is it just understood between you and your design client that this is something they're going to do, and you're always going to be pulling 3% out so that is accounted for?
So I think what they're wanting to do is kind of hide it. So if it's in your design fee, then it's just part of the design hourly rate or the design, flat rate. So you kind of hide it in there. But when you're deciding what your design rate is, you definitely want to be looking at what that cost on your profit and loss statement. Like, how much am I spending on credit card fees when you're evaluating your design fee?
Yeah, so if I'm not understanding this correctly, you could let me know. But if they are going to, let's say they're literally building that into their design fee cost. So that invoice is being sent over to QuickBooks or wherever it's going, to any accounting software that they're using. If they do that, and then they're sharing that with their bookkeeper and their accountant, how does the accountant or the bookkeeper know to say, okay, this design fee right here, I have to make sure that I am clearly defining that 3% of this is actually tied to credit card fees, so that that is broken out and it's being tracked accurately. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes. So when the payment comes across from Design Files, if they're using Design Files, then we're able to clearly see that that was how much was the fee, and we break that out as an expense. But if somebody's putting it in as a line item on their invoice, then we can map that so that it breaks out as well when it comes across to QuickBooks. So yes, you can clearly break that out. But if it's just part of your design fee overall, then it's just going to be included in your service fee income.
Okay. All righty. So let's see here. I think we've actually covered these and this. And it looks like we have covered these questions here. So I think we're going to just wrap it up at that. Ashley, honestly, thank you so much for coming on. There's always a million questions when it comes to bookkeeping and accounting. And it's just really nice to be able to sit down and talk to somebody who's got loads of experience and just kind of help guide our members on how best to approach this. Honestly, ladies and gentlemen, I do feel like you guys have a lot to deal with. Like, interior design seems to be far, far more complicated when it comes to bookkeeping and accounting. It is a lot to stay on top of. It is difficult to track at times. If you do feel like this is just not your area of expertise, think about finding somebody else that's going to take care of this for you, because I can't tell you how much stress it's going to take off your shoulders. It's always nice to know that everything is being done correctly and that you are following the rules. Everything is by the book. So if it's just one of those things that you have been thinking about maybe getting rid of and letting somebody else take care of, you can always reach out to Ashley and the team at Business by the Book. They'll be happy to help you and answer any questions that you have. And hopefully, if you do decide to DIY your books, hopefully today's webinar has given you some tips on how best to handle that. So thank you so much, Ashley, for joining us. It was really great to talk to you.
Thank you so much for having me. And yes, please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. We're happy to help.
Okay. All right, everyone. Talk to you later.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.